This is where I started.
Okay.
I link it up here.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah. After that, I did something like this. And, this is the
Can you
logo.
can you expand this? I don't see the.
You don't see what?
Can you expand this? It is hidden here, the left side.
Okay.
Expand here. Come and expand this, please.
You mean here or this side?
Yeah, the here is very big. Just make it small. This side, make it small. Uh-huh. What can't you,
I,
what is happening with your mouse? Are you using mouse or what are you using?
oh,
Huh?
I'm not using mouse.
Okay, just click on Control B. Control B.
Control B.
Yeah. Okay. So to hide it, when you want to show it, you the same thing, Control B to show.
Oh,
So let's see. Okay,
so
you go there. Mm-hmm.
I did. This is my logo name.
Okay.
After that, this is the link,
Oh, okay.
the header. So
Yeah,
I
that's
put
the
all
header.
this. Okay. After
Mm-hmm.
that, this is a section. I make it container.
Okay.
Then I bring. This is the title.
Okay.
So this is what I put inside the paragraph, and this is the picture,
Okay.
and this is the button. So second section, I did
Mm-hmm.
something the same thing. I put the image here
Mm.
and here too.
Okay.
So I come from here. This is the shopping section.
Okay.
I put some kind of tree product there.
Okay.
So
Well, let's see
after
this.
hmm?
Let's see the CSS.
Okay, this is the CSS. I think the problem is from the CSS.
Somewhere.
The CSS, that's where the problem comes from.
Okay.
Mm, this is what I did.
Okay. So now you have the body background color dark gray, and you have the dot links which goes to A. So the dot links. Can you go back from the HTML? I want to see the class name of this link. Go to the HTML. Where is the link?
Huh?
Okay, the
This is the
company.
link. This
Yeah,
is the link.
yeah, I'm seeing links and dot links. Yeah. Okay, go back to the CSS. Okay.
Mm,
Okay, border none, border radius, padding 15. Okay, good. And the logo, you add font size, weight, bolder. Okay. So
this is
now,
where I don't know this part. Am I doing correct? I don't know. I just put something, something.
which part?
This is the header, but
Yeah,
I
the header, you apply display flex and you added weight 100%. Um, just file content space between. Okay. Align item center. Okay. And padding 60 pixels. Hmm. Padding 60 pixels. Wow. And gap 40 pixels.
too
And
much.
then you added section one. Okay. The header. Open the website for me now. Let me see.
This is how it look like.
But why is it moving out of the viewport?
Yeah, I don't know why. That's what I'm struggling. And the picture here, I'm trying to put this text inside the picture so that,
Mm.
yeah,
You remember that? I understand what you
I
are doing. I got it. Go down. Let me see.
and you know the button too, it just come this side. I was trying to move it to the other side, but still I don't know why it got stuck there. And this
Okay.
one is the second picture. And
Okay.
I'm trying to put this text alongside of the picture. It's the
Okay.
same thing, it's not moving. And
Okay.
this one too, I was trying to do it in the row side, like a row, not
Mm-hmm.
in the column. But it just, I don't know.
Down.
Huh?
Go down.
That's
Okay,
all.
I see. That's why you didn't add any footer.
Because I haven't finished yet.
Okay, no problem. Now, what we are going to do is, um, okay, now send me the file now. So this is your website, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we missing?
Hmm.
What are we missing? You have this. This is the header, right?
Yeah.
The header is okay, but I found something. Okay. Okay. But I headed I don't think you have problem. But just that maybe you didn't add until maybe that's how you want it.
What?
But most of the times I understand what you did, which is correct. But always when you're doing the design, you have to look at follow it one by one. Because look, this header, it is the main header, right?
Yeah.
And these H1 and the nav are each children's, right?
Hmm.
So when you are doing the CSS, you first start with the header. You understand? Because you are going from top to down. So for instance, here it is header, right? But when we come to your code, let's say this general selector and the body is not included, right? Now, but then you started with dot links, which is which one? Which is this, the links. You went ahead directly and just started with this. Meanwhile, you have to follow one by one, where you start with the element header, you go with each one, and you go with the nav. So normally what is supposed to have been is, here is what it should be, instead of here, this header, that you see, it is the one which is going to come at the top, because it's the one which is following. So after the body is the header, right? After the body is the header,
Yeah.
right? So you follow it that way. So when you are going to later make some correction, it makes it easier for you. You know that this is a header, followed by H1. So you come here. Where is the H1? You didn't touch the H1? Okay. And then you come here and you see, oh, it's okay. You see logo, right? So where
Hmm.
is logo? You say header logo. So you see how it looks. So now it follows the main this header logo. So header logo. So header logo. Now you go to links,
Hmm.
right? So now you see that
Yeah.
it is following the right way. Header, logo, nav links. So that's how we do the design. You don't take this first and bring this down. Just follow it one by one. You do this, do this, do this. Okay. So that is how we normally do it. So after that, you finish with this. So this CSS code is for the header and the children inside it. It is this one. So you finish with this. Now you go to the section, right? This is a section. So this should have been the section. This should have been the header. You need to copy this, make it here. So this is a section. This is the sort of section is what? Header, right? For this one, I don't think you have any mistake, but the problem is since you've already made it 100%. So if you made it 100% for it, all these other listings could have also be 100% so that it follows. But sometimes if you don't want to just leave it and let's move the 100% so that it will be normal, like it will flow the way it wants. I understand. And the padding that you added, 60, 60. This 60 is here and 60 is here. I understand. 60 is up to 60 padding of all places. So let me see. Look at. So this is the website. Now, if I'm going to inspect this to see what happened. This is the logo, this is the links, right? And this you added this what we are having. Here it is 60, down is 60, here is 60, and here is 60, right? So this thing you don't have problem with it. It's perfectly correct. Maybe if you want, you can add maybe background color. And the gap too, you made it very big. I don't know why you decided to make it 40.
Is it big?
Yeah, because the gap is between what? It's just between this and then this, right? So adding gap doesn't change anything,
Hmm.
right? You can just leave it as that. Maybe you don't need to add a gap here, or go just maybe if leave the gap, you see that now it's fixed here. Because now you don't need the gap because you already set it space between, right? And you are saying
Yeah.
space between what? Space between two elements, which is H1, which is your logo, and this nav. So this, they definitely, because you already made a space between, the CSS will give you a space between. So adding gap is not needed here again because you use space between. How we understand?
Hmm.
So here gap doesn't have any problem here, right? So you see now. So this is just taking 60 pixels, and this is just taking 60 pixels. But normally in design, instead of it depends on you because maybe that's how you want it to be. So I'll just take it like that. You understand? So you did the right job. You did the logo. You give it as font weight here to the links. Text decoration none. Border is none. Okay. Why do you add border none? Or you don't want the border or what?
I put it in, I saw like it put shape around to each of the link. So that's why I remove it.
No,
I
because
put
you don't need border. Because if you move the border, nothing will happen. If you add a border there, something will happen. Because for instance, if you add border, you see maybe border, and then you see maybe 1 pixel solid and say blue. Definitely it will add border onto it, right? But if you don't add anything, nothing will be there. Nothing will be there. You understand? So here border doesn't need unless you want to add maybe um that text decoration to be underlined. Maybe text decoration here and say underline, something like this.
Mm.
Yeah, but if you don't want here, you just wrote it. You don't want the text decoration, so you need even now. So you removed it, right? The color made it black, and the border radius 5. So the border radius doesn't need it because border radius come into effect when you have a border around it. So normally this border radius is applied to images so that you have some edges here. But let's say you don't have any edge, so why do you need border radius? It's not needed. I understand. So, but
Yeah.
all these border radius are applied to either a button, like this button. You see here, you added one, this button or image, so that it will give a curve here, right? So that's why it is done. Here you add padding, which is 15, which is the inside ones. It's good. And so this, we need all these three properties. And so for the header, you don't have problem. Each one do you have problem is the a section. So let's see what happened. Right, let me open it in a bigger screen and see it is here, right? Okay, so it is here. So let me close this and let's see. Now we are on the section. Header is finished and we are on the section. So in the section, what happened? This is the section, right? This is section 1, right? In the section, you
Mm.
added one element, which is what? Home, which is H1. You added 2 breaks. These breaks, if not necessary, normally you don't need to use them. I understand.
I leave it, but I saw that it was like it come the
Because
same line as the other text, so
you
that's
already
why.
have, that's what I'm saying. You don't always think about these things break. Because the thing is, you already have some CSS to use. So because you have margin, padding, always look at those two things, padding and margin. Those are used for in place of this thing, this break. And
Mhm.
because if you use padding, it gives you what? It has left, right, down, top. I hope you understand. Uh-huh. So now you have H1, you have paragraph, and you have a what? A div, which is an image. Mm, Normally, okay, that's the class name, but normally we don't use the name of it to add because img is an element name. And when you use image as a class name, it normally confuses people. You understand? So normally you can use different name instead of using the name image. Okay, so now we
Right?
have 1,
Mm.
2, 3, that's the children's, 4. So now we have 4 children's, right? These breaks are not included. They are just to break to make it come down. So normally you don't even need them. Understand? Normally you don't need to add this break. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the children, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you did here, you added a picture image. It means that, okay, section and added the class as container. Okay, so what is the class? Where is this section one? Where is it come from? Section one as a class. Section one as a class. Let me see. Section class about image. Section one. So you see also the problem here. This is the first section, right? This is the second section, right? This is the third section, right? And this is the last section, I think. Yeah, from here to here, right? So why did you bring this section one, which is the third section, just below here? This. You brought section one here. And you even say first section, right? Well, this should have been removed here. So you could just remove this one. Not limited because yours is what to make it consistent. I understand. To make it consistent. So what are you doing? Now it's first section. Or if you don't want to make it first section, you can just write section one. Right? Similarly, you come here where is section one. After the header, you have this section. You come here and say section one. Right? So now we are going to follow this. So that's why I was saying that just follow one by one. Don't rush. One by one. This is a section, and it will have four elements. Element one, two, three, four. Right? So let's go start from the section one and see what we can do. So we come here, section one. You target the container, right? Which is this container, right? So now
Mm-hmm.
you are targeting the container. What do you want the container to do? You understand? What you did here, when you add an image, this image wouldn't just come, this image, the way you added this image, it wouldn't just come on top of this or behind these ones, right? What we did the last time was we didn't add any image as an element. Here you add an image as an element like this. So this is an image which is an element now. How do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of adding this image because when you add image as an element, it is going to sit down on its own. And even what you did here, you say display block. No, no, sir. You didn't say display flex. You say block. You remember block, how block is.
Yeah.
Oh, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So what you did was you did something different. I don't really know whether you understood what you were doing. And another thing that you did was, despite the fact that you did all this thing, you go and repeated the same thing here. How you are seeing it, right? You say dot container, and here is also dot container. So which one are you? Which one is going to work? I understand. So it's going to ignore this. The second one will work. Yeah, targeting the same container at the same time. Two properties or two distance selector at the same time. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
Even though this is not working because since you added this will override this one. So this one will be like it's just there, it's not working. So this one is now working, right? So this one, even if I delete it, nothing changed because it's not working. Because the container is the same here, container. You understand? So nothing is working. So here you see display flex. what display flex does. Display flex does made all the elements be in a line, right? Horizontal,
Mm.
as this one. Because remember, here you see display what flex. Here you see what display flex for the header.
Yeah.
So we are expecting this one to also behave like this same horizontal. This is horizontal, and this also should behave horizontal, right? That is why you are telling the distance. So these images, if you to don't want it to sit beside this one, as you made it display flex, you made the image as a what? A background image. Remember, it's a background image. I hope you understand. So what you have to do is, first of all, you have this section container, which is this. This is the section. This is container. And we have what? 4 elements. So now we don't want this image to sit beside all these things. We want this image to be what? Behind, or to be as a background. So it means that this image should be in the container,
Mm.
right? So instead of that, we go and delete this. We delete this, or we highlight this so that it will not show. So now we have 3 things now. This H1, this paragraph, and the what? And the button, right?
Mm.
Okay. So this now we use this container and bring that image as a background image. So this is a container. Instead of all these things, we can just take all these things out, all of them out, as if we are going to start it new, right? So when we do that, what do we have? This, we have this as it is arranged in the the HTML elements, right? They are all in block form. H1, paragraph, and button, right?
Yeah.
So look at what happened. Now we want, because this is a container. So if you want to see it clearly, let me make it see it clearly. To see it, I always told you that if you want to see it clearly, add border to see it. Later you delete the border. So you add border, 1 pixels, solid, and maybe add any color that you want, just to see what that container, what the element that are inside that container. So let's see. Look at, you can now see, right? You see the red, the border red that are added, right?
Yeah.
So those elements, this and the button, all of them are inside that container. So that's why the container had the border where I added this. So now, since you can now see the container itself. Now you add background image for the container, not to add the image inside here.
Mm.
Don't add this image inside. When you add image inside here, for instance, if I add this image, you see the image is inside now, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want the image to be inside here. If you want to do that, you can also do it that way, as you want the image to be there. But these things, since the image is going to occupy all the container, why don't you make it as a background image for the container?
Mm.
I hope you understand. Because if you
Yeah.
remember, when you target the body, for instance, this is the body. When you go to the CSS and you target this body hold all the background for the what? For the our body, all the body here that you are seeing, right? So if you see our background color is dark gray, so that's why it's dark gray here. If I want the different background color, can come here and make it this color, and it will change the color, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Similarly, it's the same thing. When I come here for the container, I can also come in and say I want background color for the container. Then I can say I want this color. For the container only, see which one is the container. You see the container, right? Then if I have the right, then I could say that, oh, this is my container. This, right? But if I don't want color, I want to use image instead of color. So I come here, instead of this background color, I'll just delete this and say background image, right? And say URL, which is what we did before. And then we target what? The image that you had. Which image? What's the name of the image? This dot asset skin this. So I can just copy this the way you write it here. Just come here and put it here. Right? I'm coming.
Actually, I tried this one, but I couldn't get it the way I wanted. I
Assets. And then is it skincare, right? Right? So you see that we
yeah.
have the image URL asset skin, right? So let's see. Is it there? You see the image now has taken all completed the background, right? So it takes the container, right? So now we can delete the what? The image that is inside. We can go on the HTML elements and delete this image that it is inside. We don't want this image now. So now what happened? You see that this image it takes the size of this, right? So now it is up to us to determine how many size do we want this image to take. Now it's already taken the full width, right? The height and the weight. So we can add it here. Go in the CSS and say, come here. We can add weight and height. You can add weight and say maybe if you want, you can say 600 pixels. You see that how it takes? Or maybe you can decide to say, oh, 600 pixels is small. I just want to for it to take the half of what? The distance. So maybe you can say you want it to take 50%. So you take half of the what? The page, right?
Mm.
So now it is up to you to make this image come in the center. It depends on how you want it to be. But I have added only the width. I have to add the height, right? So if I want, I can add the height. But here, they are always say height. Maybe I can also say 50%, depending on. But the reason why you are not seeing all this is because this image is just there. We didn't add image position, image cover. So instead of all these things, we can also come here, delete this and say what? Background what? Position, right? Or background repeats, background size. So these three are very important. Position, repeat, size. So let's start with
Mm.
position. The position, where do you want the thing to center? Background what? Repeat. I don't want the background or the image to repeat. So I say no repeat. And then background what? Background size. I want it to cover all the what? The size. So I say cover, right? You see now, the image has covered all this size, right?
Yeah.
Then since it is a container, what do I have? I can come and say, I want this container to display flex. Now I can start adding that display flex here. You see now, all those things arrange themselves like this. You understand? They arrange
Yeah.
themselves like this. But because I don't want them to arrange themselves like that, Well, this one is normally horizontal, right? So what do you have? We have a flex direction. Remember, it's very important. Flex direction, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Flex direction. What do I need? Which one do I choose based on our design?
Oh,
Column, right?
oh,
Because it's already what horizontal as default. But if I change the direction to column, then our distance will be like this. You understand? So normally that is how you have to look at it in this way, right? Mhm. But then all of this, it depends you to think very carefully when designing all these things. You understand? When you are designing all this, you have to think very carefully. That's why you see that because we are designing, we've already designed some, and we are designing you see that we are just confused. We are why is it this there? So now you don't even know where what you are designing. It confuses you. But if you have started small, you did after you do this, you come here. This one wouldn't have been here. You know that oh, this is what you are working on. You understand?
yeah.
So now that you do this, you can just try because it's a container. It will try to make this very long because it's taking the size of this. You understand? But later you can also change the width of all these things. You understand? So now you can go along and since you have the background, you have this. Now what left? Now you can add that height, right? You can go and add that height. Width 50%, right? Height 400 pixels, right?
Mm,
You see now what you are doing now. Now you are getting the right way. Maybe we say 400 is small, you can add it, maybe make it 600. So now you have this. And then what do you need? You just need to bring this container in the center. You understand? Then
mm,
you need to bring this container in the center. So normally what you normally do is if you want to bring it in the center, because these are already there. So you want to bring that container in the center. You can just add what? Margin to be auto, right? So you see that now that container now is at the center now. How we understand now?
yeah.
But if you are confused with this margin as auto, you can decide to put this container inside its own container. What I mean is, this is a container we have, right? As this box, that red box. Maybe let me change this to different colors. This color so that you see that let me increase the thickness to 5. I just want you to be seeing it clearly. Okay, this right. So now, why don't we add another? If I don't want to use this margin auto, I can just leave it here so that this one will be here. But then this container, I want to put a bigger container, right? So I can go here. This is the container, right? I can go here. Where is our container? This is our container. Instead of this section, I can just say maybe section, right?
Mm,
And say class. This is a container. Here I can just say main container. Like for an example, I'm giving you main container. So inside this container, I'll copy all this container, this, then and put it inside this, right? So now we have a container inside a container, right?
Mm.
So now we have main container. So I can copy this class and come on it top because this comes before this one. Dot main container. And then now if I say border, then I see maybe 3 pixels solid, let me say green. What do you see? You see that I have a container this and inside is that another container which is green,
Mm.
right? So now I can make that green container to become what? Display flex, right?
Mm.
So now instead of using display flex here, right? I can delete all these display flex if I don't want it. But I want it because I just want all these things to be in the middle if I want to use that.
Mm.
But if I want this bigger container to also be in the middle, so it's like we are using display flex, and again here, the main container, we are also using display flex. So that's why display flex is very important. So here, you can come and say display flex, right? See, nothing has happened. But what do we need for this box to come in the middle? Which property? Remember, which property? Justify
Justify
what?
content.
Justify content. Let me say center. So now that this container now move in them to the middle, right? So you have a
Yes.
container inside a container. So now you see this container only what move that small container to the middle. You understand now? So now you have the ability to control this without this moving somewhere else because this container is what affecting this small container, right? So now this small container, you can play along with it. What is inside? So what is inside is so we made it to have a flex of what, right?
Yeah.
So here we have the width 50% and height 600 pixels. So here we are good to go. So now what remains is we just play along with this and make them also to be in the center. But we already did that, right? We already added flex direction column, and then we can add a gap, which we can add maybe 40 pixels and see how the gap looks like. Gap between all of them. You understand? But most of the times, you have to look into which one you want, how you want them to arrange. I hope you understand now.
Mm.
So this instead of the gap, we can decide. It depends on us because we can target each element now. We can target this, we can target this, we can target this. So instead of using the gap, we can decide to even remove the gap here, right? Here we can decide to remove all this width and height there. It depends on ours, so that we can add what? Either margin or padding, which is what? Very useful. You understand? So instead of adding the weight and height, you can start to clear all this. Look at how it is, right? So this now, whatever we did will be based on this. So this display flags, I say, no, I don't want display flags. I don't want this column, whatever, and delete all this. I don't want them all. This is how I want it to be. So now you see that it looks nice, right? So if I want to add this and this, it depends on me because the size of this image depends on this, the element which is inside. So the more I increase those elements will increase what? The image inside. Understand? So now I don't want to, I don't have to worry about the image now. I have to worry about what is inside. And what I can do now is now I finish with the section, the container. Now I'm going to target each and every this thing. But this two has been finished. Now it's up to me to target this H1, this paragraph, and this button. So let's see H1. So we can see container H1, right? So go and say dot container H1, right? So now, what do you want to affect this? You want to add color, whatever, or want to make it be in the center or what, right? So you can say what? Align, test align, center. So it's only know the H1. It came in the center, right?
Mm.
So we can add margin padding to it. How much? We can add because now it is inside. So we want to have a space outside of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can say you want, it depends on you want this all of them. You can say yes, maybe you can say margin, right? Margin what? Okay, you can add margin, maybe if you see 20 pixels, what happens? You see now we have some 20, 20, 20 here, right? Or maybe if you think that this is small, let's say 60. So now you see that when we are adding the margin for the H1 element, it is also help us to increase the size of the image.
Mm.
You understand? So even though the image, we didn't add any size for it. We're just using the size of these things, these elements inside them to use the image.
Mm.
You understand now?
Yeah.
So now it has to have with the H1. We can add anything with H1. So here, if you don't want the margin here, we can remove it. We can say here, you don't want the margin button, margin here, down. We can decide to say top and down. The top, what do you want for the top? 60 pixels. What do you want for the left? Maybe also 60 pixels. What about the bottom? 0. What about the right? 60 pixels. So you see that here we have, here we have, here we have, but the bottom we don't have. So that's why this paragraph is closer to this, right? So now we can also play with the H1, the paragraph. We can also say dot container, and then we say paragraph. What do you want to apply for the paragraph? Also to be in the center, test align what? Center. So it also what comes in the middle, right? So you can
Yeah.
also just leave it like that. Later on, we only have what? This, right? So if we want to push this, you see this, we want to let this have a what? Margin so that it will push this one down. What do you need? You can add what? For the paragraph, you can add margin what? Bottom. And we can say maybe 50 pixels. You see that this H1 has pushed, it has a margin here, and has pushed this one down here, right?
Mm.
So that is how we always have to look at these things. Now we can come here and say it left with our button. Our button, you already added something here. So maybe if I can delete all this, right? And then I come here and then this is the button. You already add some things. You say button. So for it to be very clear, I can just same container. Okay, well, we can just delete all these things. Now, this is our button. So that's how our button looks like. So let's see. You added what? Background color, or you added what? Let's add the pattern for it. 15 pixels, I think. Right? Okay. You added border radius, maybe 8 pixels. So add border radius. And then we can remove the border, make it 0. We don't have border to it, right? Or we can just increase this one is top and down, and left and right, we can make it what? 30 pixels. And this, understand. So here is good. You added the hover effects, which is nice, right? So I can just font size, maybe 18 pixels, you see. Okay, maybe just system is already on system is okay. Font weight, 600. Let's start like this, or maybe 500, right? Maybe I can just leave this. That's now it is like this. It's okay. I understand. So for instance, if here I'm using, if I see test align center, you see nothing is affected because button is not a test. You
Mm.
understand? So it cannot move the center. But if I want it to be, I want to turn it to be like a test. It depends on me. I can put that button inside what? Inside a div so that I can move that div to be in the center. I can use display flex as we did with the background, right? So instead of what? Button, I can just come here. For the button only, I can just come down here. See, I'm going to add a div, add a what? Class, and see, instead of button, I just say btn, add container, something like that. And then inside, I'll copy this button and then put it inside, right? So now inside this button div container, this I have the button. So I can just come here before this dot, then I can just say display flex, right? And I say
Mm.
align display flex, and I see what? Justify content center. So now this is the container for the button, which is making its button to be in the center. So when I go back, you see that the button is in the center. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
So now if I want to increase this image now, since I've run out of space, now I can add that what size to it now. You understand? Because all those things are just in the middle. You understand? So how?
Mm.
I can just go and see the image itself, which is the container itself. So I can go to where is the container? This is the container, right? This is the container. Now I can decide to add weight, 50%, and then I see height, 600 pixels, right? So you see what happened now. I hope you understand now.
Yeah.
So it always you depend on how you decide to do all these things. Depends on how you decide to look at all these things, how you want this to be here or there, this place. Understand? So always work on it and look at this is good or this is not something that I have to do. It depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah.
So now if you see that this one is here and then this one is here, you feel that it's not looking nice, you can just leave this original image and don't even add this width and height. But then what makes it farther than this is using margin because margin is the space outside, right?
Mm.
Margin the space outside. So you can determine the target this H1 and add margin top. So we can H1 and added margin top, which is this. Margin top, we can add up to even 100 here. So that it will be 100 pixels. 100 pixels. You can now, right? Go here. Choose one. Look at very big, which is a bit very bigger. It's very big. And then want it to be in the middle, but then it's very big, maybe 10 is okay, right? Maybe 10 is
Yeah.
okay now, right? So what do you need? You want the border radius to have some border for the picture. You can see border radius, and you can see maybe 10 pixels. You see that we have some small border, or maybe 15 is okay. Next. You'll see that we have this border, all these things, right? So this is how you can achieve something like this. You understand? So all these things, when you use the flex, it's easier. So always just make sure you concentrate on the flex, the margin and padding. Ask yourself, what are you adding? So this outside, to understand, this is the outside, which is the margin, and this is the inside, which is the padding. So always think about padding, margin, display flags, just try content. All these stuff are very useful in most of the designs. You understand? And if you want any object or any element to be in the middle, try to put them in a container. So that's why when you go to a lot of websites, you see a lot of divs, right? You see a lot of
Yeah.
div elements arranged, a lot of them, because they want the design to either you want that element to be in the middle. Mhm. Right? So see that we have achieved something like that. So now we move to the what? The other but this. So after we finish the design, we can remove this border and this border that we don't want. So we can come here and see where is the border. We can remove it. Then we can remove it. It's just a guideline for us to see what we are doing. Right? And then we can just remove the color if you don't want any color. What is the color? Remove the background. Background color was this, right? Was that gray? Let me see. Dark gray. You are using this color. Okay, this is the color that you use. Right? Okay. So now I see that we finished this. We finished this. Now we move to this. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now I think I should leave it for you to do it then. I think you've understood it now. Or
Okay, I'll go and try and see.
hello? Tell me
I
if
said,
you've
I'll
understood so
go
that
and
we
try and
can.
see. I'll use the same way you apply that one and try this one and see.
So this one is making it in the middle. Understand?
Mm.
So then this one too, if you
This
just
one, for
want,
this one, I wanted it this way. It's just the text that I have to move it to the other side.
no, that's why I say if you want something to move to either any side, make sure you put that thing inside a container. You
Mm.
understand? For instance, here, where is this? Where did we stop? About this, about this. I want to see where we stop. Okay, this is a section. So let's say I'll delete all this. Okay, this section too. Let me delete all this and then this. Okay, let me say I deleted all this. Understand? This is how it looks. I deleted all this. Now I have this. Now this is a container now. So if I want anything below here, either I can add what margin what button for this container so that it will push this down. So I'll get space here instead of using break. You understand? But this is a container now. So I'll target what is this container. So I can go to my developer tools, right click, inspect. So this is my developer tools, right? So you see that this is coming closer to this, but I want to have a space. So I will target this main thing. I can click on this and come here. So this is what I'm clicking. So if I click it to show me where that thing is here, right? So when I come here, it is here. What is the name? Container, right?
Mm.
If it's a container and I go to here, you see the CSS of it, container. That's the CSS, right? So I can come here if I want some space here. I can come here down there and add it here. What will I add? Margin button. And I will see how much do I want to add as a margin button. I can say maybe 50 pixels. So you see that I have a space here now, right?
Yeah.
So you see how that developer tool helps you to get that. So I can just copy this, and go to my website, come here, where is the container? This is the container, put it here so that now it is fully working here, right? So now I can work with this. But if I see, oh, maybe there is small, I can just make it 100 or maybe 80. See now I have a bigger space now. So I have now a bigger space to work for this other section, this section, right? So come here and look at that section and ask yourself, that section, maybe I can come and say section 2, because we are dealing with the section 2, right? Then I come go here where the section 2, we finish with the section 1, which is this main container, finish with this section. Now we are doing with section 2. But clear this and say section 2, right? Then I have
Yeah.
what do I have here? This class I say about. It depends on what name you, but normally always think about the name because the name is very important, right? So
Yeah.
instead of maybe writing it, you can just change the name and say the class should be maybe container 2. Or you can say main container. That I made it main container. Here you can also say main container 2, right? Main container 2, right? Or because we want to play along with this, we can just leave it as this, and then we have how many elements do you have? This is the div. So we only have one image. You understand? Here we only have one image as this image for this section. These are different. That's how it is here. You understand? So that's what you did here. I don't really know what you wanted to achieve here. So you tell me what you wanted to achieve here so that I know. Maybe let me just, where is the image? This is the image, right? Let me just add a width to it to maybe 500 pixels. I will reduce the size of the image. Okay. So what do you wanted, what do you want to achieve here?
You said
What do you want to achieve there? That place?
it just
Because I don't know how you wanted it to look. You wanted to add image, what? For there are a lot of design. Maybe there are a lot of design. How do you wanted it to arrange? Let me see.
I want to let me confirm.
Hmm? Because I don't have any example of any website that I should look into.
Let me send it to you. I want it to be. Send you on WhatsApp.
What's up?
Yeah.
Why didn't you send it on the chat? Let me see. What's up? 1 minute.
Yeah, I want it to be.
Send me on WhatsApp. What is it? This one.
Yeah, I want it to be like
So being like this is very easy. You always look at this. For instance, if you want to have something like this, first of all, you have to take a sheet of paper. You understand? And when you take a sheet of paper, you draw what you want. For instance, first of all, let's analyze this. This is what? So the background is first container, right?
mm,
The background is our first container. And then the second one is our image. The third one is our H1. The fourth one is our what? Our paragraph. And the fifth one is our button. So inside our container, we have how many elements? 4 elements. One, two, three, four. Right?
mm,
So let's look at it and make it very simple for you. So we are in the section 2. So we say main container. So here, I'll delete this. I don't want because we just need image. This image, right? So, okay, yeah, we just need image. And I'll delete this too, right? So I have one, which is the image, right?
mm,
Right? Okay, so what do you have? H1, which is our story. So I add H1 here. So this is the H1. Instead of maybe I can just copy this. Okay, maybe just write H1 and write our story. Okay, right. You see, it is easy. Image, our story. What again? Paragraph. So I'll say P paragraph and just I'll add Lorem tests. Right? So I have paragraph. And the fourth one is button. So button, let's just add button. And what is in the button is a learn more. And let's write learn more. So see how easy it is. What do we have? The section, which is our container. 2, image 1, story 2, paragraph 3, and then button, which is 4, right? So I have all of this here. Image, our story, paragraph, and then button. Just learn more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I have. So let's see. Okay. So how can we achieve something like that? So let's first of all try to target our container, the container 2. Go to our CSS and see we're having our container 2. And then we add border to make sure that it will guide us. I'll add 1 pixel solid. And then I'll add maybe yellow so that I can see it clearly. Now let's look at the color. So what do you have? This is our container, which has image, H1, paragraph, and button, right? So now how can I achieve something like this? So first of all, let's add the color of the container, right? So I'll go to my and say, let's add background color. The background color is this color, which let's make it as this color. Let me just look at if I can see some color or something like this. Maybe I can use this, right? This key or this. Which one should I use? I just want to have any color to represent. Oh, let me just use this key. Let's see. Well, it's not looking the way we like it, so I can just make it like this. Let's see. It's still not. Okay, we can just leave it like this, or maybe let's leave it like this. Okay, now it's okay. Are you following? Okay, so what remain? We have added our this, right? So what do we have now? We have to arrange these images, right? So this image take this place and this image take this place. So it means that this image is standing here alone, and this thing is also standing here alone. So how can I achieve something like this? I can use flexbox, right? But then I have to put all these 3 elements in one what? Div, right? So that this one will stay here, this one will stay here. So I can use space what? Between or space evenly or what? So I look at it, this is a space, this is a space, this is also a space. So it depends on how I want it, right? So I go here and say, here I want, this is my image which should stand alone, but I want H1, P, and button all should be inside one element. So I can copy all these things. Or maybe I can just write div and write class and give it a name, maybe all this, right? So I can say maybe inside container, right? Or maybe just give it any name, right? Container inside, any name just to make it look like this, right? So inside this container, I can put all these 3, 1, 2, 3. I can cut this and put it inside, right? So now it means that I have 2 elements inside the main container, right? So since I have that, now I can just make this to display flex, the main container. Then come here, can just say display what? Flex. When I do that, what happened? You see that this one our one, and this one is also another one. So now I have 2 this thing. So what left? Now I can just use margin to control it. This, or I can use what? Space between to control them. So I look at the design, which one do I use, or if I use will be good, right? So I can decide to say, okay, this is the margin. So I can give 10% for the margin so that I can have space here, right? I can target the what this and say margin. Which margin do I have? Margin left and right. I have one margin left and right. Do I need margin top and bottom? Let me see. Yes, I need margin top and bottom also, right? Then margin left, margin top and bottom is smaller. So I can just say I need just 10%. Let me see, right? And then when it comes to left and right, maybe I need 20% just to see how it looks. So we go and look at it. This is how it looks, right? But
Yeah.
because it is margin, it moves out of all these things, right? But
Yeah.
then what about if you use padding? It's better. So we come here and say instead of margin, just say padding. And look at, right? So it's up to you always to look at which one you want. If you do this and this will give you the one you want, you change it to padding, right?
Yeah.
So it's up to us now to look at what we want. Here it's too bigger, then we can just reduce it. We can just say 10% is what is bigger. We want 5%. 20% is bigger. We want just 10%. Right? You see what we achieve here. Now it is up to us to increase the size of this image, or we have to give a space between here. So you can either use what margin, right, or padding again. But the easiest way or the best way we can use what, since it is flex, you can just use gap, because one gap to be in between them, right? But what do you want? You can let them be in the middle or in the center, because we are using display flex. So you can see this file content center, right? So they are in the center, and then we can see align items also center, so that they will all be in the middle. Understand? So now we can add our gap. How many? Let's say 20 pages and see 20 pages, or let's say 40. Let me see. So we have to what? Make sure we reduce this, right? We have to make sure we reduce this. But this one, we also have to make sure we look at our image, because the image was having its own size. So where is our image? Here is our image. We did the size to be 100. We can increase the size and say, give it to me like 350, right? So you see our image now is bigger, right? So what do
Yeah.
we have? Choose our image now. So we have the space and we have our image. So which one left? This one left. This. So we can decide to also at target change this. But in order to do that, this one were arranged in the middle. But was it that way here? Here, it's arranged, both of them are in the middle. Now we see our story is here. So we can increase, we can go and target this and this, because this is also the size that we want. Or we can just say, it's okay. We change this font, we change this and this, right? So now what are we going to target now? We come here and say, now we are going to target this H1. So we have, which one do we have? This container is having all these things. We can also do that, the same thing for this. How? You can come here and say this container. You can add something to, so I can add this border so that you can see it clearly. Say main container 2, and then I'll add the container side. So we see it clearly. I'll add the border, 1 pixel solid, and then I'll add red so that you see it clearly. Look at, right? So now you see it clearly, right?
Yeah.
If I want to add, I can add width for it to be smaller, but then I don't want to do that. I want to just work with this, the story. So the story is what is here, our story. So I can add a lot of text. Maybe go here and add a lot of lorem text to make it more. Add a lot of lorem text. Let's see. Okay. It's okay. You can leave it just like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have our, I can, okay, I can add line height, but then I'll decide to go here and go here, go here. So now we have H1, which is container side H1. So I go here and say dot container side H1. So what do you want to target? You want to target maybe font family. We can just decide to put any font that we think it look good. So I check the design. It's like this. Maybe I will make it different. Font weight. How many? 400. Maybe I can get the font, but I don't need it. Maybe this one is okay. 500 is okay. Let's see. Okay. Another 600. No, I don't. 500 is okay. Right. And then I'll target this. What again? Do I need anything? Well, depend on what I want. Maybe harden. Maybe I can say 30 pixels. Right. 30 pixels. So I can go for the this and say dot container side paragraph. Also, I give it maybe font size. Font size normally is, can give it 18 pixels, right? And then font weight is going to be very light, lighter, right? It's no one doesn't change anything, but then font what is the name? Line height, I think it's line heights, line height. The height of the line, maybe, let me see, 5 pixels. No, just make it to 1 line. Okay, 1.5. We just try which one looks better, right? 1.5. Maybe we'll give it as 2. All right. Go to subtooling. All right. Let me see. I will take a look at your design and see maybe the line height is maybe that 1.5 is okay, or maybe 1.5 is okay. You come here and say maybe let me just leave it as 2. Okay, you leave it as 2. and then now it's making this. But then we can also add the padding also to have maybe, let me see, the same thing as 30 pixels, right? So you see that it's now lined with this. So now it's left with our this. You can just say what container inside, and you'll see button. So button, we have our padding for the button, 15 pixels top and down, and then 30 pixels left and right, right? So these are our button. And what do we need? We need to have a margin 30 so that you come here, right? Because this one is also a padding, but this one should have margin. So we can say margin left 30 pixels, right? So you see that it is in line with all of them, right? So do we need any color, background, whatever? We ask ourselves, we go to the, well, it only have border, so you can add border, border to be more, and add border, right? So how many is 2 pixels is okay, solid. And then you can add the color as dark gray or maybe gray, right? Can add something like this. So look at it also similar. Let's see. Once see the test. Want to wait, we can give it, let me see, 700, right? So you see that we achieve something like this, right? So it's not difficult. You just have to play along with this, and you see that, oh, it's simple. You see that we are designing our website very clean, right? So when you finish, let's remove the border. You see, oh, this border, I don't want the border again. And you can remove this. And if you remove all this, so you don't want the border again, right? And then we remove this, also the light border for this, remove this. And then now we have our websites, right? So now if I want to even make it this responsive, I want to check the responsiveness. If I do that, you see that even without adding media query, because I use what Flexbox, you see that
Mm.
it is simply adjusting. You see, even though I didn't add any media query for now, you understand? You see that it is still what adjusting.
Mm.
You see how it is. You see. You just need to play with the image when you reach maybe 77.3 and add media query so that when it's becoming small, this text will reduce what smaller. Understand? So we can say at this 773, we want this to be reduced, or at 780, so you can come here and see where that text is. It is this paragraph, which is P. So you can just what? Just add here, you can just at media, and just bring what? Maximum, right? Because we are dealing with, right?
Mm.
Max width, right? And how we see it going to do at 780 pixels, right? Now we copy this, you can copy the same thing, copy this thing, put it inside, and delete all whatever we don't want inside. We don't want all these things, but we just want the font size to be reduced when we reach certain age. So you can see maybe instead of 18, you can see 10, or maybe like instead of 18, maybe we give it 12. So at 780, you see that it's reduced, right?
Yeah.
You see that the font size is reduced. So it's up to you to also at that same size, you reduce also this size. So that when you're reducing it, it becomes very small. So here the line height, you can also reduce the line height. So here you can see this line height is 2 rem. So you can come and say line height, I want the line height to be 1 rem. You see that it's reduced now, right?
Yeah.
Or instead of 1 rem, you can maybe 1.2 rem. So that is how the responsiveness work. After you finish design, or when you are designing, you still you look at when I increase, it become bigger. When I reduce, it becomes smaller. So that is how the responsiveness work and that of the design. So since you know how I design this, it is easier for you to also design this one too, right? So this design, the same, when you are doing this, you can copy the same design, but you change, you instead of this, you change this thing to come here and this one will go here. For instance, if I want to make the same design, I can just go here. Where is a container? This is a container tool. I can copy this container tool and copy this and come down, paste it here, right? Know that this now become contain a section 3. I can leave it the same way, but what I can only change is I change this, I remove this image and bring it to the left side or to the right side. I bring it here, right? So when I go back to my website, let me see. No, I made a mistake. Okay. Because I put it, I think I put it inside the div. Yeah, so here I can come here and put it here, right? So now when I come here, I know that this one is there and this one is there. You see that I didn't change anything. You see, I didn't write any code again for the other section.
What did
Just
you
like
write?
changing. I didn't write any code. I just changed the size of it. Understand? So you see some of the website that are they are built it in this way. Understand?
How did
So
you
if I
change
want,
it? I did not see.
no, it's just easy. Look at the section is there. Let me just clear this. The section was there. Here is the section, right?
Mm.
This section, section 2, right?
Yeah.
So this the section 2, this is our image. Our image was first, right?
Mm.
Our image was here, right? So I can copy the same section. I copy all this section, the section that is there here, this section. I mean this section. I can copy this and come down here and paste it as another section, right?
Mm.
So normally when I visit my site, it look like I have two of them.
Yeah.
So instead of leaving this image, I can just delete this and bring it here.
Mm.
Because it's the second one. So I can go here and just write here as this is my section 3, right? Then
Mm.
this is the first image, right?
Yeah.
So I can just cut it and bring it here, down here, right?
Mm.
So now what happened? The image is now is here.
Mm.
You understand? So you don't need to, by the end of your design, you see that your design become very neat and clean. You see, it look the same thing, and you didn't even change anything. You just change the positions. So there are sometimes there are some things you don't need to redesign it again. You already designed it. You just need to change the position of the image. So I will leave you for today, and then you can go and check it. And if you want anything to be in the middle, if you think that it will be difficult, just put that thing in a container and add
Okay.
display flags. Just forward content to be center. That item will be in the center of the container, and that is it. You understand? Even we see that we didn't even use any display grid here. You understand? Because display grid are mostly used, for instance, if it is a combination of pictures like gallery. So for instance, if you look at this design that I did, even though I didn't use any display grid, but it looked nice. You understand? You see that when I'm increasing it, you see that it is what? It is still responsive. You understand? And then when I click on image to play to display playing, you understand? So always try and learn, and then after everything is easier. You see, some of the HTML, most of them, they are not difficult. They are just simple. You understand?
HTML is simple. The one that is kind of hard is the external one.
Yeah,
That's
that's why it's very difficult for that. Is depends on you to sit down and learn them. You understand? If you don't practice that CSS, always find yourself wanting. So just do the practice, apply them, and then you are good to go.